Pamela Mosley Carpenter was born October 2nd, 1957 in Ecuador, to parents Jack and Rosie Mosley. She was also the younger sister to NFL kicker Mark Mosley. Around Pamela's 22nd birthday in 1979, an appliance she ordered from a catalog was delivered by a man by the name of Johnny Paul Penry. Penry was a 23-year-old Texas man who was recently released from prison 3 months prior to the delivery. 3 weeks after the delivery, Paula nodded off while working on her niece's Halloween costume. She was awoken to the sound of someone in her house. When she looked up, she realized she recognized the face looking back at her. It was John Paul Penry, the delivery man from a few weeks ago. Penry quickly grabbed the scissors Pamela used to make the Halloween costume, poking Pamela. He then began to beat and rap her. Penry then left Pamela for dead. Pamela was able to call 911 and call a friend and tell them an accurate description of Penry. Unfortunately, Pamela didn't make it. She died in the hospital due to internal bleeding. Penry was convicted and sentenced to death on April 9, 1980. He was also later charged for attempted deadly assault on a police officer during his arrest. In 1989, an appeal reached the U.S. Supreme Court, who overturned the death sentence due to the fact that Penry was mentally disabled. Because of this, Penry was given a retrial in 1990, but yet again was resentenced to the death penalty. In 2001, the Supreme Court appealed the decision made by the 1990 jury. They feel the jury wasn't given right instructions on how to deal with Penry's mental disability before choosing his punishment. Which I know doesn't make sense, but why did you retry him if you weren't going to even address the issue, right? Anyways, after a third retrial in October 2005, the death sentence was overturned by Texas Court of Criminal Appeals due to the jury not being aware of Penry's mental disability. On February 15, 2008, Henry agreed to a plea deal where he would serve 3 consecutive life sentences for capital murder, aggravated assault, and attempted deadly assault on a peace officer. They almost retried him for a 4th time, but prosecutors didn't want to risk him being released on parole under a 1970s Texas law governing life sentences. Part of the bargain, Henry had to forfeit all credit for time served and waive his right to be eligible for parole. So I think it's safe to say that he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Thank God. Part of the agreement, Penry had to apologize to the family, where he had said he committed a bad act and had caused them a lot of pain. Also part of the agreement, he had to tell them that he was not actually mentally disabled. Helen May, Pamela's niece, said she is happy that Penry will spend the rest of his life in prison and that Penry had been lying about being intellectually disabled. They considered him telling the family that he was not mentally handicapped was a small price to pay for escaping execution. But it was only a claim. It was never actually proven. There was no doctors involved. He was never given an IQ test, and they were taking him at his word. I think all of this was because he was just afraid of the death sentence. He didn't want to die for a crime that he viciously did. I agree with the death sentence, but I also agree with someone rotting in prison, which he is doing to this day. But you know what the scariest part is? A delivery driver did this. Like, literally, especially in today's day and age, we have so many deliveries frequently. I know I have one at least every other day. And some of them you have to sign for. It's creepy and disgusting, dude. And it just really just gave me a disgusting taste in my mouth that someone would do this and then play mentally retarded to be tried. I am just so glad that they did not release him back into public so he can hurt another girl. Because he was only 23. He was at the beginning of his sickness. And if y'all made it to the end, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and God bless.